We're rolling. Yeah.
Hold on.
When Mike's ready. Hold on.
Champions don't become champions when they win the event. With proper nutrition, you can achieve anything. Hey guys, thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel. Now focus on your nutrition, you'll get anyway.
Welcome to the show. This is the Winning Mindset Podcast. I'm here today with none other than my big brother, Mr. Michael Hearn. My name is Wole Adesemoye, your host. I am the 5-time WFF Muscle Model Pro World Champion. I think I know a thing or two about winning, and I really want to talk to people that have done amazing things with their life to see where they are at right now and what they've done to get there. So I really want to talk to interesting people that have done amazing things. They've propelled themselves to where they are. The world has written them off prior to them getting to where they need to be. So, Mike, I want to hand over to you. Those people that don't know who Michael Hearn is, they must be living under a rock for the last 30 years or so. Please just tell us a little bit of your backstory, who Michael Hearn is.
Wow. I started off modeling, powerlifting, bodybuilding at a very young age. Found success in all of them by the time I was 17 years old. Joe Weider discovered me. Next thing you know, by the time I was barely turning 20, I was already years into the magazines, doing romance covers, muscle magazines, winning shows in powerlifting, bodybuilding, martial arts, and traveling the world. And then Gladiators came along, and so the television jumped into there. Now we're talking about 3 decades ago, and that just continued for years and years and years. Too long to go into it, but I had success on television, and for some reason, it has moved into movies at this stage of my career. I never stopped training. I never stopped being involved in the health and fitness world. And we're still here today, moving and grooving.
I think,
and I'm a dog guy.
Yeah, you're a dog guy. I think you're very modest in what you've just said and the way you've presented yourself. No, I mean, I've had the privilege of knowing you for almost a decade. And I don't only look at you as a mentor, but I look at you also. I'm also a fan of yours at the same time. And I think you're very modest in the way you present yourself. But, you know, you are not just Michael Hearn that the public sees out there. You're Michael Hearn that's come over a lot of obstacles to get to where you are today. So the purpose of today is really to talk about some of the obstacles you faced in your early years to get you to, like, for example, the powerlifting meetings. You know, people probably think, did you win all your competition? How did you get on? How did Joe Wheeler discover you? You know, when you came to California, and what were the obstacles that you faced, and what were the inner dialogues that you were having with yourself about failure and about quitting? You know.
Ooh, interesting. Yes. I was pretty successful at a young age when it did come to competing and winning. And I think that's because I set myself up, and we talked about this earlier today. My surroundings, from the discovery of what I loved, I set up myself to win. Now, I didn't realize I did it at such a young age. I was 12, 13, 14 years old, going to a certain gym where I got lucky enough to be around the strongest humans in the world. Now, for me, that age, I just thought they were big, strong guys. Everybody's father was as strong, I thought, which is a topic we talked about, ignorant bliss.
Yes.
So at 12 or 13, I'm thinking a 900 deadlift is normal. A 600 bench at 240 is normal. There's nothing to it. And so at such a young age, I got lucky enough to be around such greatness and adapt a mindset that, again, hope, I guess would be the word, hope. If these gentlemen can do what they're doing in powerlifting, then I could do that. And then I took it a notch further, which again, it goes back to that ignorant bliss, is that I would like to be that strong, but also visually be a Mr. Universe and look that way and be that strong. And again, by not knowing, I got to be able to do that. And I think if I listen to the world or the outside voices of what people say you can and can't do. I don't think any of that would have been feasible.
So that was your first time at defining the odds, would you say, in regards to being not only a powerlifter, but an amazing looking bodybuilder at the same time? Because according to the outside world, that doesn't exist. You can't be a powerlifter and a bodybuilder at the same time. So you kind of defined the odds and became an anomaly, really, in what you did in that sort of early age. Did that set you up for bigger and better things down the line?
I think that mindset actually at that age set me up to where I would not be here if it wasn't for that mindset. And if it wasn't established at such a young age for me. Now I'm hoping that people can find that discovery at 20, 30, 40, whatever it is. But for me, I knew no other way. And I never allowed the outside voices on what they believed was possible affected me and what I could do. And suddenly by the time I was in my late teens, I was already winning Mr. California powerlifting and the bodybuilding. So it was like, okay, I'm establishing my beliefs and I'm concreting and foundation of my beliefs are now coming true. So I really don't even need to listen to the outside voices because I just got to stay within my lane and what I believe is true.
That's really interesting because I think that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't believe in themselves. So, and they have naysayers that will shatter their dreams before they even put it into fruition. So meaning that, you know, they might tell somebody that, oh, I want to do my first bodybuilding competition. And, you know, their closest friends might be the one to be like, you do your first bodybuilding competition? Look at you. And all of a sudden that puts them that not believing in themselves to get to where they need to be to do their first bodybuilding competition. Did you ever have any of that growing up? Like, did you ever have anyone saying to you, like, you're a powerlifter, Mike, you're not a bodybuilder?
It is even worse than that because I was at this gym, bodybuilding was considered something else. And so they were very, what I like is they treated me like a man.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about guys that the old school guys will know Doyle Kennedy, Doug Furness, Jeff Magruder, and these legends. They will realize that they treated me like a man by the age of 12, 13, 14, which I actually liked. And so they would tease me about the other side of it because that old school powerlifting is one side, bodybuilding's on the other. There's no mixing the two. And so they would tease me on that. But it was fun for me at that age because I didn't let that teasing interfere with my beliefs. I liked the banter. I liked it. And I felt like I was already a grown man at that young age. And so when I stepped on stage at the first time at 14 years old, and I beat all these 19-year-old kids, it was like everything just kept getting that concrete, another layer of it. That's my foundation. This is where I'm at. This is what's feasible. And so I never listened to the naysayers or as Arnold says, the naysayers or just the doubters or people saying you can't do it. I had a great support crew. Amazing. My parents and my family were just so supportive and the people around me were so supportive. That initial crew that I would listen to, because you're always going to have tons and tons of people yelling at you and saying what's not possible. But that never interfered with me because these people were just the average. These are the ones that believe whatever they want to believe, but they don't do anything with their life. So I never had what you're saying. I never had those guys saying you can't do this or that until I got to California and I was at Gold's for the first time being a young kid. And I was starting to train with Tom Plaz and all these guys, Jim Quinn, Mike Quinn, all these guys are here and we're training and we're being beasts. And then came into the play of, well, I'm stronger than all these guys, but I don't look like these guys. Even though I won the universe by that time, I still didn't look like these guys. And so I had to be patient with my road to the success that I wanted relative to the quick fix.
That's an interesting topic because an analogy that I always use, and I've used it several times while I've been with you here, is your body's not like Amazon Prime. You don't order it today and it turns up tomorrow. And for you to go in at the age of 17 into Gold's, is that correct?
19 into Gold's.
17
was into the magazines.
Yeah. So you walked into Gold's that nobody knew, but people already knew who you were by that age. because you were in the magazine.
Yeah, I was lucky enough.
Yeah, so you're walking into Gold's already known as, you've been in the magazines, you've done a lot of front covers. People knew who Michael Hearn was walking into Gold. So did that actually have a problem with your actual ego going in there thinking, well, people know who I am. I don't look like these guys, but I'm stronger than them. Do you know a lot of people feel like strength translate into like building muscle? Can you just explain?
Those are two things. Those are two things, because one, walking in already having my covers before even being at Gold's Gym was cool. And it did help for the rest of the world to know who this guy is. And then what was cool is I always believed that you need to, you shouldn't be respected. You need to earn the respect. Totally. And so that's fine for me that they thought, well, this guy's just a pretty face and a big kid, big farm boy, holy sheesh, and all this. So I liked the fact that I had to earn that strength and size and all that kind of respect in the gym by training with them and outlasting them and lifting heavier than them and having more fun than them and not being able to be bantered in a way. It's like, you want to talk smack? Let's go squat 315 for 50 reps. Let's go do this and stuff. So it was a great thing that I was already known because of the work I did as a teenager, a young teenager. But then it was also fun for me that I knew that I had to earn respect. I should not receive it. It didn't matter that I got the covers. It didn't matter that I won these powerlifting and bodybuilding shows. It mattered what I did when I was there with them in the trenches. That's
really, really good. So you're going in like really eating a lot of humble pie going into Gold's and thinking that, even though I've been on front covers, these guys know who I am for the past 2 years, you're going in very humbled and thinking, I want to earn their respect, by training just as hard as they can train at a level of intensity they can train at for the duration, even maybe longer than they can train at. So would you say that you doing that propelled you forward within the bodybuilding world? Because I think that, I always use another analogy that I use. I said, eagles don't fly with pigeons. Did you feel like the eagles that you surrounded yourself with, that you became a product of your environment, that the people that you surrounded yourself with were superstars, Lee Platts, those names, the big names in the bodybuilding world that were training at Gold.
The biggest. When you think now, it's
Arnold Schwarzenegger was probably still training at the time you walked in. You had big names. I walk into Gold still today, and I feel like, something just takes over me. I feel like I'm walking in the footsteps of giants. So how does it feel for you as an individual to be around those individuals, to be around those, I'll say, eagles? Did you feel an eagle amongst eagles? Or did you feel like you were kind of trying to prove a point to be an eagle?
I think this kind of goes back to what the show's about. The show's about mindset.
Yes.
I put myself at a young age in a position to where I can succeed because I was around the very best.
Fantastic.
The next step was what? Stay in Washington State and be the best for what's there? No, the next step was get to California, train at Gold's Gym, and establish yourself above everybody else again, or at least be in the ranks and in the names and be in that fight. So it's not, did I go there to get respect? I went there because that's the next step when you do. That's just what you did, especially back then, because we needed the magazines. We needed that shoots in Gold's Gym. You need to be around the greatest. And so I think that's just another step for any business. You whatever your intake is on what you want to do with life, you want to keep putting yourself around the very best. And so it was an easy move for me to go, let me go down to Gold's Gym and again, get into this small pool of the greatest in the world. And Lee was out there, Lee Haney and Rich Gaspari and all these guys. And then Lee Priest came out years later with Tom Plaz. And it was such an old school mix to the new school. Mike Christian was there. It was it was incredible. So I think it's just a necessary step I had to do. And again, I think being just raised in a smart way to go to the very best, to be the best.
That's interesting, because I think like what you're saying is that the way you put yourself and the environment that you put yourself in helps you to succeed. Because I always believe that winning does not happen by accident. You don't win by accident. You win by the things that you've done prior to winning. So, the things that you've done in the days, the weeks, the months, leading up to a show, leading up to a powerlifting meet. That's what's going to assist you to win. So you already had that sort of winning mindset. Can you just explain it to the audience what that winning mindset looked like to you as an individual when you knew that, you know, to some degree the odds were stacked against you because you were in the footsteps of giants at Golds?
I don't know. It's a tough one because it just seemed logical to me. And it seems like everybody should have that mindset. I found what I wanted at a young age. So I put myself around that step at that age was luck, 12, 13. But I think that's on the parents at that point. If it wasn't me, I hope parents will see the love. And I've been around these parents today that see that their son has the love for baseball or something like this. And they put them right in the mix with the very best coaches, the very best teachers of this, the best athletes. So I think that was the kickstart. But then moving forward, everything after that was something that I think everybody should have, is that continue to put yourself around. And so I did that knowing that I'm going to be the bottom of the barrel. And even if I'm not, mentally keep your attitude down here and continue to work and give them respect, and then try to beat them at everything they do at that young age.
Would you say your competitive nature coming into Golds at the age of 19 helped you? Because, you know, I spoke to a few people about you, and they'll be like, you know, Michael Hearn was a beast. Like, he can squat like, you know, 500 pounds for reps. And like, you know, speaking to the likes of Paul Dillette about you, and, you know, he mentioned what you was like when he was training at Golds back then. And would you say that kind of helped you kind of going in with that sort of attitude? And would you say that helped you?
Oh yeah, I was a young lion.
Yeah,
it didn't matter. And mostly knowing that I came from a deep-rooted powerlifting background, that I wanted to come in there and show them that powerlifters can actually do 20 or 30 or 40 reps with a poundage that most people can't do a single with. And so that was fun. And that was the attitude coming just from that wrestling mentality of just wanting to grind it out. I think it helps 100%.
I mean,
it just, for me, life is a competition. And so I still have that attitude today. I think that's one thing that helps today, is that you have all these OGs and they can all talk about it from, I don't care if it's Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Sean Ray, or Paul. They'll talk about those days where that strength was retarded, and the rep range and the work ethic. And they'll say, regardless of how you feel about me, the work ethic that I've had through these last at Golds 3.5 decades is unmatched and continues to still be at that level.
And my question for you is that, you know, I've lived with you, I've trained with you for almost a decade now myself, and every single time I come and train with you, I'm impressed at the physique that you still hold, and the ability and the discipline that you hold, and, you know, knowing that the fact that winning mindset doesn't stop because of like your accolade and accomplishment that you've had. You know, I know that you don't eat anything that's not measured. I know that you're up early every single morning. You know, you take your shower, you have your first meal, you're in the gym. So what are you doing it for, Mike? You're 55 years old. You know, you can basically stop today and your legacy will still live on. So for those that are in their 50s, those that your age, that are writing themselves off, thinking that's it, that their chance of getting an amazing physique, or getting the wife of their dream, or getting the home of their dream is over. What sort of motivational, inspirational talk can you give them and tell them to be like, look, life is not over at 50. I mean, you're in one of your best years now. You're out squatting me, out benching me. You can probably out train me still. And you're 15, well, sorry, shall I say you're 12 years ahead of me? What are you doing it for?
Yeah. Honestly, I just absolutely love it. And I think if you can find something you love so much, it's a twofold. One is that I absolutely love doing what I do. And I love doing it so precise like I do.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that I continue to study it and see, is there little changes I can do to make it even better? But can I also do this in a way that might, for me, the legends before shared that passion that they did, and they did it for themselves. At the end of the day, if you're doing it for yourself, you're going to continue to do it. It doesn't matter if you win the universe like I did or you take last, you're still going to do it because you love it. And that's the second fold. The second fold is that I love it so much, but it also helps me stay healthy and continue the life I love, but continue to stay healthy in the sense of just everyday life and to be able to continue to move and groove and tussle with my son.
You made a simple analogy I've been with you here in California in the Titan Castle, saying that before it was a choice that you can train. Now in your 50s, you have to train. Can you just explain that to those out there that might be listening to this who are in their 50s and they are just, I wouldn't say couch potatoes, but they're not pushing themselves. They're not training the way they used to do in their 40s. Can you just explain the benefits of resistance training alone for the human body at that sort of age?
Yeah, I think most people, and I wish they would understand this earlier. There was a point probably 15 years ago, maybe even right before my 30s, that up to that point, I get to train. I get to get up and keep going and keep pushing it. And then I hit that 40 and I realized that 40, when I got Gladiators again, went out and got that and booked that and locked it down, team captain, fun. But I also realized at that point, I now had to train. And going into those 40s, it's like I have to build a foundation in my 40s. Hopefully the years before that helped. But definitely by that 39, 40, that I have to continue to train to build that foundation so I can do this and be healthy until I'm 60 or 70. Because at a certain point, the only thing that's going to keep you healthy and moving, it won't be the massages. It won't be the cold baths or anything like that. It'll be stretching in a range of motion and keeping that full range of motion the best you can with a pressure on your body to stimulate stress to keep the muscularity, keep the bone density. And so at that point, I realized I had to keep doing it. And it wasn't the benefit of I get to do it. Now I have to do it if I want to continue to be healthy.
So there's research out there that shows like past your 30th birthday, you're losing 10% muscle mass per annum. And the only thing that can reverse that is resistant training. So would you say that you're having to train? You're enjoying training more than you did when you wanted to train? Would you say your mindset has shifted a little bit to,
it's shifted. I'm more appreciative. And I think that's where it comes in. And I wish more people would do this. I'm more appreciative that I still get to do it. And what I mean by that is that there's people that with bad shoulders, bad knees, bad backs. And there's people that, friends of mine that are in wheelchairs that can't even do that. And so when somebody says to me that's healthy and they're in their mid 20s and 30s and they go, wow, what keeps you training every day? What's motivating? I don't want to answer them because they'll never relate with the understanding of they don't appreciate life. That's the bottom line. They don't appreciate. If you're not waking up going, holy sheesh, I get to do this right now. I get to be healthy. I get to go train. I get to maybe create this physique that I'm going to be happy about and happy with myself about. If you can't comprehend that, you're not appreciating life. And at this stage, it's like, I appreciate that I'm still here. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna praise that I get to go train and stay healthy and continue to do this. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me.
It's just I hate that people go, I need to be motivated. Give me some motivation. You're alive. Done. If that doesn't motivate you, what the heck is some guy on Instagram talking about this or that's going to motivate you for 2 seconds? It's like,
I think a lot of people don't have the self-discipline to commit themselves to regular training regimen, regular nutrition, regular recovery. So that kind of leads me on to my next topic with you, because when I look at you as a whole,
did you want to tell them that you were shocked that I weigh every meal?
I'm shocked.
Everything I eat.
Absolutely shocked that Mike weighs everything that he eats. I'm going to definitely tell you that, because that mentality, he weighs it down to the gram, and his meal plan is up on the kitchen cabinet. I can see it every morning. I know what Mike's going to eat for meal 1. I know what he's going to eat for meal 2. I know what he has around 6 meals a day at the moment. Six meals a day. So I can see each and every meal. Quantities are all there, and he weighs every single meal, down to the cranberry juice that he's drinking, down to the orange juice that he's drinking. And I'm absolutely blown away, because when I drink a cranberry juice or orange juice, I just have a glass of it. I don't weigh it. I've never thought about weighing cranberry juice or orange juice, but this is how precise Mike is with his nutrition. That leads me on to my second topic that I want to talk about with you, because I think people prioritize things. They go 1, 2, 3. And when I look at you, everything's number 1 to you. Like, your nutrition is number 1. Your sleep and recovery is number 1. Your training is number 1. So there isn't any sort of like priority put in place of, you know, like when I say I draw the triangle, I go recovery, nutrition, training, and then back to recovery. Where with you, it's more or less like a straight line. Would you say I'm right in saying that? Because you prioritize everything.
I didn't think about that, but you are right. But you're also right about how you say things, about how the recovery, and then it's nutrition, then it's training. I agree with that statement. I'm just so appreciative that there's these, I guess, tools for you to use so you can be the very best. And I respect them all so much. I respect the training. I respect that recovery, because it's like, I wish I respected the recovery more when I was younger.
Yeah.
But you're so young. You're so, vibrant and strong, and you could wrestle a bear attitude that you don't think about. I don't need recovery. I can just 3 hours and I'm good. And that works for a while. But I just respect all the aspects of health and fitness and the body. And it's cool how all of them work together. So, yeah, you're right about that.
I'm just so impressed with Mike's mindset, because this is all about mindset, this podcast, the winning mindset. Mike goes to bed at 8 p.m. every single night. Literally, like, he's in bed at 8 p.m. and he's getting his 8 hours, maybe 9 hours sleep sometimes, every single night. I've been living with him for 3 weeks, so I know this fact. And I got him wearing a walk band. We're wearing a walk band here, so to kind of monitor our recovery. When Mike wakes up, Mike is straight on the nutrition. So, and then followed by nutrition, he's straight on the training. So when I'm talking about the winning mindset, the mindset that he has, his environment, your environment is set up for you to win. So can you please just touch on how you have set up your environment for yourself to win no matter what? I look at this environment that you're in, and it's built for success, because when you can succeed within your training and win within the battles that you're fighting within your head, how do you have that motivation to get up a bed in the morning, get everything in order, get everything done? Just talk about that sort of mindset that you had, that environment that you've set up for yourself to succeed.
I think it goes back to the root of when I was so young, and I wish that I could talk to my young self and just say, stay on that path. Because that sets you up for your full life. And I don't think there's that. And I see this with really successful people in their fields. There never becomes a point where the age comes into play. They're still, if not even better, with their precision as they age, which is a cool thing to see. And that's just basically what I've done. And somebody pointed out the other day, I didn't change for my counterpart, Mona. I incorporated her into the life, because I think I'm so set in my ways as well that this is how it is. If I can continue to live my life this way with those disciplines, then everything else will fall into place and work great. And so it's why I set the way I the house, you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's a great place to come and train for a week or two.
Amazing place,
relaxing, but it is a place where you do stay on your nutrition.
Yeah.
You do get training done first thing.
Yeah.
And then you can start the business day.
Exactly. So you mentioned Mona, and I can't mention Michael Hearn's success and Michael Hearn's mindset With that, the woman behind the man. I mean, if you guys don't know Mona,
or in front of, she's pretty
or
badass.
In front of, she's a badass. She's a badass. Mona is Mike's wife, and Mona has been with Mike for a decade, 10 years, a decade. So as long as we've known each other. But I just want to say that, man, she's my big sister. I love her to bits. She's an amazing asset to your life. And I mean, for all the men listening out there, we're talking about mindset. We're talking about winning mindset. Talk about the importance of having the correct partner by your side to assist you to win. Because without Mona, there's no Mike. And I think it's important that you understand that. And I want you to kind of talk to the audience, give them the reason why you've succeeded so well with Mona by your side.
I think in every aspect, you have great qualities about yourself. And then there's things that you are a little blinded to. And I think when it always came to females, I always looked for something that suited me for the time or who I was at the time. Like most men, right?
Yeah,
it's like, wow, she's hot.
Yeah, she's
great body. Yeah. We get along. Yeah. Cool. Done. I'm in. Let's hang.
I'm all in.
Yeah. Snow bunnies, Delore.
Snow bunny. I'm all in.
I think the change up was I was still on this Gladiators and doing all these shows in the magazines and all this stuff, and it was still relevant at the time. And I met her, but she was a different her. She was like most of the girls I met, I was I've always been smart with my money and stuff, in a sense. I would say it that way. And I met her, and she was a level above that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, okay, good for you. Wow. And then finding out where she was from and how she was raised, and her mindset this is one of those girls that didn't fit me. I had to change, in a sense, on some aspects of my life to really be that full-on leader and man to be able to even get her. And I was like, oh, it's interesting. I've done this with nutrition and training and my mindset for work and all this stuff, but I've never done that for a significant other. Raise the bar, put something that's hard for you in a sense of you have to be even a better person. And when I did that is when I got to be able to, be with her, and it took me to another place. And so it is that, I think Johnny Depp or somebody said this, they said, be careful of who you marry and who that person is at your house. When there's no peace in that house, there's no peace in life.
So right.
And it's an amazing thought that significant other can raise you. Or if you're blinded like I was continued to date things that actually took me down. And so I still had to make it up on the other side. And on this one, it's like, wow, it enhanced me, made me better in so many different ways. I was like, why didn't I do that earlier? So now I'm lucky I didn't do it earlier, because I wouldn't have got her. But if you guys are out there, never date the girl that fits you at the time. Date the woman that you have to man up and be even more of an animal to get in the sense of being productive and useful.
So that's such a great advice for, all the men listening out there. I think like we as men, we go for, we go for,
it's hard comfort, not to go for hot whatever.
Looking, those that fit our lifestyle at the time, we will say inverted commas. So I think for me, it's so important that the woman, the person that you surround yourself with is going to either elevate you or drag you down. And that's so important for all the men and the young boys listening out there. You got to make sure that you make the right choices when it comes to your life partner specifically. And, we can't talk about Mona.
Well, hold on before you go, because I would say this. I would say for you 20-year-olds, don't stress so much. And I wish I listened to my dad. I wish I didn't get locked in when I was in my 20s, because you become a different human. From 20 to 30, 30 to 40. And I wish the 20s were more focused on just the work, even though the 20s are great. But again, it goes back to just us wanting to hook up with hot girls. And then I got lucky enough to meet a hot girl that's a cover of magazines. And on top of that, such a savage when it comes to work and self-made millionaire. So it's like, okay, I got pretty darn lucky.
It's amazing. I mean, like I said, I've been privileged enough to have been welcomed into your home for the last 3 weeks. And we can't talk about yourself. We can't talk about Mona without talking about Titan. I mean, Titan he's an interesting chap. I mean, he's 4 years old, looks like a 9-year-old. what are you feeding this kid? I mean, this is like you're literally setting him up for success at such an early age that this kid, he's going to be a professional athlete. He's going to be either a football player, he's either going to be, a tennis player, he's going to be an athlete. He's going to be a fighter. He's going to be an athlete. This is what I'm saying. So what is it that you're doing at such an early age? I watched a regimen of food and milk and nutrition and the protein that you put him on. And the kid is 4 years old, 55 pounds, and he's such a
4'2".
Unbelievable.
Go do some research.
Just break it down to all
how
the
big 4'2".
Break it down to all the mothers out there. You and Mona's mindset to set your son up for success, because again, your son is going to be a product of his environment. He sees people like myself walking through the door. He sees his dad, superhero style.
So remember there's a couple things here. I got lucky enough to team up with Jordan Rubin and really go into child nutrition, which was a huge thing.
Yeah.
So we set up Mona even a year before we got her pregnant. I got her pregnant, and I said we got her pregnant, but we set her body up to be an incubator for this.
Yeah.
Our joke was that can a human handle a superhero sperm? But no, I'm just kidding. You can handle Superman. We set her up that everything would be as best we possibly can.
Yeah.
Why? Just so we can try to give him the best future as possible. And so when we went through that process, she was on board, which is a tough thing. Because I imagine if you told most women, hey, I want you to eat certain things and feed for the baby and be an incubator for him prior to you. Most women will go, no, I want to train. I want to stay lean as best I can. I want to go out there and run while I'm pregnant. The discovery of how much stress is caused to the baby during the pregnancy. Long story short, we did so much research, and Mona was on board 100% on going, let's do this the best for the baby.
Yeah.
And then through the early years of living, we continue to have the right to feed him the way we want. And learning about enzymes, and babies don't have certain enzymes for vegetables and stuff until a certain age. It's like, wow, totally missed that. Where most pediatricians go, hey, eat this, this, and this. And it's like, body can't utilize it at that age. And so we really did well. But that being said, Mona and I, and this will give you an insight into Mona and my mindset, is that when we got together, we didn't want to have kids. I wanted dogs. I'm good.
Yeah.
I come from 10.
Yeah.
So it's like I wanted to be a little selfish and just have my girl for me. And then realizing that she could raise a child with or without me showed me, wow, this could be a great mother if we did decide to have a kid. And she came to me one day and says, yeah, let's have a little one. And so,
I mean, you guys are an amazing family, and the way you kind of are as a father, I know you're a hands-off father, I call you.
Yeah. A hands-on.
Hands-off father. Mona's raising Titan.
Yeah,
I think
let's
that
give her credit.
You're concerned as well. I see that you're very concerned in regards to Titan's future, because I know you as a father, you're very concerned with certain things. I know it kind of it touches your sensitive part. And that's what I want people to know, the real Michael Hearn, the sensitive part of you as you are as a father, because I know I joke with you and say you're a hands-off father, but that you're not hands-off that much because you're still concerned. I know we're not going to go into depth about things that you're concerned with, but I want you just to talk about the fact that how fatherhood has changed you.
This would be a good one for you, because now I'm a father. I brought somebody into this world, and then we know what it's like to grow up with dyslexia.
Yes.
And we handled it not just well, we used it as a superpower, as you said. And it gave us enough trauma to where we have a chip on the shoulder, and we use that in a good way, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we also know a lot of people that grew up with dyslexia or learning disabilities, and it triggered them in the wrong way.
Yes.
And they didn't continue like we did. They got beat down. They beat themselves down, not even the schools or whatever. They beat themselves down, where you and I kind of built ourselves up.
Yeah.
Going, hey, you want to count me out? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the guy that crushes that. And so I do worry about him picking up the aspects that if my dyslexia goes to him, or if his learning disabilities happen, I want to make sure that he attacks that and goes through that and doesn't feel bad about himself. So as a father, man, I worry, and I know that every father out there goes, that doesn't go away. And I know I'm in that stage of I worry. I try to do the very best I can, but I still worry.
That's an amazing mindset to have as a father, because I know the again, we can't talk about Titan, Mona without talking about your dogs, because I know what they mean to you. So you've been a father to dogs from a very early age, and I know how much Striker means to you, Khaleesi, Panda. So all your dogs, I know how much they mean to you. But Striker holds a special place in your heart specifically. Can you just touch on that, what that really means to you, what she holds in your heart and what it means to you? Because I know she was around way before everybody else. You've had her for 15 years. We all know Huskies live to about 12 years old, 12, 13 years old. So you're blessed with an additional 2 years with Striker. But the mindset that you have with your dogs, I think it's just important that you share with our audience, because you're such just a loving individual. That love that you have, I've seen it. Like, it means so much to you. It changes your mood, like so much. So much. If anything goes wrong, Striker's first. It's like, what's happening to Striker? Did you not hear that noise? I mean, you better go at me a couple of times.
We won't talk about it here.
We won't talk about it here.
He thought I was mad at him.
Yeah, I thought I was mad at you.
I was emotionally hurt.
That's what I'm saying.
Because she was sick that day. And
yeah.
Stuff. So
just touch on that and how that affects you as a person.
I think everybody here can relate with the friend that was there that pulled you through the hard time.
Yeah.
Her is both a connection to my mom and dad.
Yeah.
As the last connection from something that was here when they were here.
Yeah.
And now they're both gone.
Yeah.
But she's still here with me. And then the points of all the downtimes during a streak of my life where I was at the lowest point. And she was the one thing that was there that kind of kept me going. Be responsible, be a father, take care of. And if anything, just sitting next to me. Don't need to talk, don't need to do anything. Like most things, especially dog owners know this. Sometimes you don't need to say nothing. You just need the company. And she got me through the darkest time of my life. And so it's a bond. And I hope everybody has that kind of bond, if not with a puppy, with an individual or a buddy or a friend or a girlfriend or whatever it is. But
it's a very powerful bond, and it's a very special bond. And I think you're an amazing individual. I think you've accomplished so much. Like I said to you, if you was to stop today, your legacy would still live on to so many people. And the way you are with Titan, the way you are with Mona, the way you are with your dogs. For me, as a young man who's 12 years your junior, I've taken away a lot of life lessons from living with you for the last 3 weeks. And the biggest lessons that I probably take away from, not even from training, is just that sort of just the ability to know that, life might throw curveballs at you, but you've got to overcome those curveballs. And like you have, sometimes you might have good days and bad days, and I've seen that in you where you say, oh, this is a good day for Strike, and you're so happy, So, that sort of mindset that, you've gone to bed, you've thought about the day that's happened previously, you woke up, and then, the day has progressed and it's been a wonderful day. So what are the things that you kind of look for? What are the things that you say to yourself when you have bad days and you're having that inner dialogue, that sort of like inner fight with yourself? Because, one of the things that I always say is some of the biggest battles you're going to have on this planet is with yourself, nobody else. And we're talking about the winning mindset. The most important thing for me as an individual is for you to understand.
Phones, the camera's down.
For you to understand.
Hold that thought.
Yeah. Sorry.
Ooh, yeah. Back in the mix. Do you remember what you talked about?
I can't remember what I talked about.
I know.
I know exactly what I talked about.
Yeah, baby.
So we're back in the mix, guys. I wanted to kind of ask Mike, because this is the winning mindset. What are the sort of battles that you've had with yourself? Some of the fights that you've had with yourself in your head, because, analogies that I always use, some of the biggest battles you're going to have on this planet is with yourself, nobody else. And I think when you can win the battle with yourself, you can win the battle with the world. And this is very important you understand this. And I want you to kind of articulate yourself in such a way to the audience that's listening to this podcast, what you have done to overcome some of the battles you've had with yourself, to have that winner mentality, because you're a winner. You are a born winner.
I would say it's the basic things that we heard from our parents, and that is this will pass. So on the down days, it's going to go past you, and you're going to get through it. And on the good days, same thing. Don't get too high. And I learned that really late in life, that try to stay as even as you possibly can. Don't get too high with the wins, but don't get too low with the struggles. It's all going to come. It's all going to go. And just try to stay in it. So it's, and everybody, I think, will say that same thing. And then the biggest thing that you said too was this, is that the struggle with yourself. If you can honestly control yourself, which I wish more people did, but if you can handle those struggles within yourself, you're golden. And then also on top of it, just know that most of the problems you think you're going to have, you're not going to have. Yeah, that's one of those wise quotes the old man said to the young guy. He goes, "So what is it that you're on your deathbed that you can tell me?" And he says, "All the problems that I worried about never happened." And we stress about life so much, about every little thing, and chill a bit.
I have to say, I have a level of anxiety with things that I think that may happen in life. And some of the fights that I have with myself, I wouldn't say I grew up in poverty, but I grew up in a very low income family. And, I'll say on this first episode of the podcast, one of my biggest fear is going back to where I was when I was young. And I think, that still motivates me to today to succeed. And it's still a fear in me to today. So that sort of winning mindset for me is understanding that we're never going back there. We're going to succeed and push on. So I always have that in a battle with myself of the fear of going back to where I was. And that sort of, it's almost like a wound that never healed, but it has healed because I'm not 13, 14 living at home. I'm a 43-year-old man with my own sort of trajectory of what I'm going to succeed and where I'm going to be in life. But I just think another thing where I'm going to touch on, I think
before you leave that one,
because
I think you and me are very similar that way. I grew up lucky enough. My mom and dad raised 10 kids, and so they did well enough to where they could feed us all, but we had to help out. But that same kind of mindset with me is like, I'll never do the broke, that just getting by, just barely enough food or whatever that is. But it changed when I met Mona, and I had discussions with her, and she talked about, now Mona was worse than both of us. She came from a communist country, no electricity in her house, an outhouse, dirt floors. It's really bad. She said, "I got no fear of being broke again because I know I'll make it back." Oh, I love that. And I was like, wow, that just slapped me in the face. Yeah. It was like, wait a minute, I'm still worried about just going back and getting a meal in here and there. She's like, "I don't give a shit. Yeah. You can take everything from me. I'll make it back." And I love that. Wow, that is a winning mindset right there. That is a winning mindset, knowing that you can lose everything today and gain it all back. So this is one of the things where... But she doesn't say it. Mona. I know. She means that shit. I know she's not saying it for TV and stuff. No, I know she means it. But what I'm trying to say is that the fact is that the environment that she's come from has shaped her to the person she is. We live in a very much a cookie, sort of like a bubble wrap world with first world issues, with first world problems, where a lot of people are in a third world country are not thinking like we think. So when you think about the communist country and where Mona has come from, it's almost like coming from a third world country to a first world country and being a millionaire. That's rags to riches. That's a true American, that's a true American story there. Like for her to come from rags to riches. But then she knows that she can lose everything that she's gained and gain it all back. That is a winning mindset right there. So how does that assist you, having Mona by your side, saying that,
to be like, what am I talking about? I've got this woman that's saying we can lose everything and I'll make it all back. Does that give you confidence in yourself and with her being by your side?
An analogy that you can actually talk about is that we were training this morning together, right?
Yeah.
And you were being vocal, right? And you were talking to me and you're like pumping me up, where Bobo was saying nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. We were pushing each other during the workout to get better. And so next to Mona, anytime I feel a little bit like I'm starting to go this way, I got her in my ear going, "You serious?" And it's cool because it's like a built-in coach with you.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the whole thing, that team around you. When you're dropping, can that team lift you up? Don't go down to the level. And I said that earlier. I said, don't go down here. You don't need to be kind in that way and make them feel better because they're below you.
Yeah.
Raise their ass up.
Yeah.
Be honest with them. Tell them, hey, this is where you're failing. Get your ass moving.
It's amazing. I think for me as an individual, I think just listening to you and being around you and Mona, this 3 weeks and you and Titan as well and the dogs has just really inspired me to greatness. And listening to Mona, knowing that where she's come from, what she's at, hopefully can kind of settle my sort of anxiety to a level where I feel like, okay, well, it still affects me to today. And that's a fact. And I will say, I'm a winner. I'm a born winner. I'm born to win. I'm never going to go back there. But that's the sort of level that I'm at where I have a little bit of anxiety thinking, what if? And I know a lot of people have that sort of mentality out there. So I think I want you to kind of leave our audience with sort of like what you can believe that will assist them to get them from where they may be today, like a quote or something, or inspirational speech or something that you believe that they can get themselves, get their mind right to propel them to where they need to be tomorrow. So, think about it. I mean, I know you're not much of a
I think just
motivational speaker, but I think you're a big name in the fitness industry. And a lot of people will listen to you when you talk, Mike. Even me as your big brother, as a small brother, sorry, shall I say, as you are my big brother, I'm still a fan. You're still my mentor, and I listen to everything you say.
Yeah, I go back to something I've said for decades that got me through the hardest time of my life is that don't rush the pain. Those dark times are going to make you the champion you need to be. It's not winning the show.
No,
it's not getting the great workout. It's the struggles, and not rushing it is what the main thing I would like people to do is when you're in that darkness, when you're in there, I know people will kind of try to bring you up, bring yourself out of that. Find out what makes you motivated, what makes you want to live, and come out of that darkness with yourself and pull yourself out. It's going to change you as a person. And that's when you grow the most.
It's phenomenal. Like, it's been a true pleasure having you on the show and listening to your story. I've got to know you a little bit better. And that's just not me saying that for the sake of saying it.
That's not just for TV.
And no, it's not just for TV. Like, it's just for true honesty. I got to know a little bit more about you as an individual. I want to just say to our audience, if you find this podcast interesting, I'll definitely ask you to share it. If there's anybody you believe that you like us to interview out there, send us a message. We're more than happy to get them on this podcast. The whole idea is to be inspired by some of the stories that you hear on this podcast and use it in your own life to propel you to greatness, because greatness is within all of us. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you all. Remember, let's all get swole like Wole.